All right. 35 minutes later. It is what it is, right? I am Professor Rutten. I am the director of the Benedictine Leadership Institute at Mount Marty University and a professor of theology. I've been here for, this is my 5th year now. I spent, prior to that, 7 years in church work, working at Catholic Cathedral, the Cathedral of St. Joseph in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as director of formation. And prior to that, spent a decade in Catholic high school education as a teacher of theology and campus ministry for a few years, and coach. I was the varsity baseball coach for, I coached for 7 years, varsity baseball 3, JV 4, freshman basketball for, I don't remember if it was 7, but assistant with the varsity for 4 state championships. Lost the first 2, won the second 2. Then I dipped out and they won 3 more. O'Gorman up in Sioux Falls has a great tradition of excellence across the board, academically, athletically, and in the arts. And I went to 4 state baseball. The crew won football, basketball, and went to state in baseball. I was the varsity baseball coach and lost 4 years in a row. So, I know what it's like to lose. I know what it's like to win. And what I've discovered is that in life, oftentimes what we need to do is to become people that can navigate the peaks and valleys. I've actually found that success is probably a greater detriment to human flourishing than failure. Oftentimes failure, by nature, we're pretty resilient creatures, meaning us humans. Shit happens. Life's not perfect by any means of the imagination. The older I get, the more I realize we're all screwed up. Most of us have brokenness in our lives in one form or another. Some of us, it's much more public. I was in seminary, I was going to be a priest, and we went on pilgrimage to Jerusalem. And we're with the bishop, 30 seminarians, a bunch of priests, and for 2 weeks. And at the time, I was a smoker. Smoked a pack a day for much of my life, unfortunately. Was able to kick that, so that's no longer a problem. But at the time, I was smoking, so we'd be on pilgrimage, going to the Holy Land and sights of Jesus and all this stuff. And we get off the bus, and anybody that's a smoker knows first damn thing you do when you get off the bus is light up a smoke. And my brother, Paul, was in the seminary with me at the time, and he was older, and he was embarrassed by me. And at one point I just said, you know what, Paul, some of our faults are public. Some of our faults aren't. This one just happens to be public. Deal with it. Now, I didn't say it necessarily in those words, but my heart was saying, you know what? Take a hike. I don't know what happens behind closed doors, but most people got things going on, right? But at the heart of this whole thing, don't we desire to be on the mountaintop? Why do people climb mountains anyway? What the hell's the point? Get up there and you're like, oh, that's a great view. Well, sure. But we could just take drones up there now. We don't need to climb it ourselves. Why do we climb mountaintops? Why do we seek to become something? And that's ultimately what this class is about. What does it mean to be a human person? What does it mean to be us, animals, creatures that have the capacity to think and freely choose? That have desires, hopes, dreams, but also are broken. Right? I was talking to one of my former students yesterday, and talking about his home life, and his home life, is pretty broken. And, he's like, hey, don't really have moms and pops necessarily that are there for me. I kind of find my bed wherever it is. Oh, yeah. I had a friend like that once. I had a friend that at 18 showed up at his house and his mom had his bags packed and the doors locked. Damn. That sucked. All right, well, 25 years later, where's he at? Well, he could be in prison. Could be a garbage man, not to rag on a garbage man. They make good money, but it's back-breaking work, and it's hard, and it's early mornings, and the conditions don't matter. Garbage men always work. Always show up when you're a garbage man. There's no day off. Back-breaking work, make good money. Could be a garbage man. Or it could be in the professional world. The likelihood is that his conditions led him to a place where maybe the likelihood is he's going to end up in prison or as a garbage man. But he didn't. He's a very successful businessman today. He owns cell-only Verizon wireless companies across a multitude of states. I think he owns 40 to 50 cell stores. Makes good money. Impacts people, and he loves giving back. Loves giving back, particularly to universities. Because it was at the university that he learned that he could choose his future. He got to choose who he became. He got to choose the consequences of his circumstances in life. He didn't have to be defined by the fact that his mom locked him out at 18 and he had to go finish his senior year living with his buddy and his parents. He also ended up in JDC at one point, which is probably the reason his mom locked him out of the house, for moving acid across state lines. What the hell's wrong with people, right? Oh, he's 17 years old. He's a dumbass. 17-year-olds do stupid things. So do 19-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 45-year-olds. The objective of this course, the objective of this university, is help you be the type of people that can think more deeply about who you are, about what it means to be human, and about your ability to live a free life where you choose who you become. I think it's going to be a fun semester. Started off a little interesting, didn't it? Like, what have we been doing for 35 minutes? But I think it's going to be good. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, we got work to do. This doesn't come free. Nothing in life comes free. And if it is free, you won't value it the same way as it would be as if you worked for it. Anybody that's an athlete understands that. And so when we look at this, there's going to be some work. And we'll get into all that, right? I just kind of want to get you dialed in and hooked in a little bit here to say this is about human flourishing. This is about helping you be the best young men and women that you can be. And for most of us, we're freshmen, right? So we're going to dig in and say, what does it mean to be a student? What are we doing here? What the hell are we paying for this thing for? To get a job? You can get jobs a lot of other ways than to pay to go to university. To play a couple more years of sport, it's a hell of a lot of money to play sport. The rest of the world doesn't do it this way. Any Spaniards in here, or Europeans, or I don't know, maybe something, right? They don't have athletics attached to university. It's a whole different program, right? Well, so I don't know what brought you here. Maybe it's sport, maybe it's athletics, maybe it's a job. You're like, well, maybe like most people, I think you're just like, well, I think this is what we're supposed to do. All my friends went to college. I guess I just did what they did. So all of those types of things, what we're going to do is take a look at the backpack that you have, that you walked in here with. Open the damn thing up and examine a little bit. See what's in there. Pull it out. I got kids. I got three boys, and man, like at the end of the day, their backpacks come home and they're like 5, 4, and 9, so they just drop all their shit right there at the door. And I'm like, oh God, at least get them to hang their coats up, right? Like I'm a leadership coach. I'm like, I can't even train my kids. It's like, put your coats away, right? And then I open up their bag and the first thing you do is you pull out their lunch, right? So look at their lunch and it's like, I don't know if I want to unzip the lunchbox because of what might be inside it, like half-eaten yogurt that's now like gotten into the half-eaten sandwich and turned into like some kind of science experiment, right? So I get in there, right? You get that stuff cleaned out, and then it's like there's just a pile of papers in there, right? And an empty folder. It's like every kid, they each have a folder in their bag, but it's like half the papers aren't in the folder, So you just pull all this stuff out and you start looking through it. Some of it's garbage and you throw it away. Some of it's important. Some of it's the lessons that they've been doing at school that as a parent, I want to reinforce, and I want to see what they're doing, and I want to kind of pick away at what's going on and kind of learn with them. And as I believe the parent is the first educator, right? The primary educator, that I want to get in there and learn, and then I'm supporting what the school's doing. And so you get in there, you examine it, and you find some stuff you like, and you put back in there. And then you find some stuff that you're like, nope, that's garbage, and you pitch it. That's what you're going to do this semester. Open up your backpack. Look in the damn thing and say, all right, what's in here that I like? What's in here that's mine? What's in here that my parents put in here? I was going to be a priest. I can't tell you that, well, it isn't like, I'm going to over-exaggerate this, but the number of guys that went to the seminary because their grandmas thought they should be a priest. Of course every grandma thinks that their Catholic boy should go be a priest. Like that's, oh, you know, Johnny, you make a great priest, Johnny, right? Because they want like their grandson to like bury him, you know? Like it's like, no, you shouldn't be a priest, Johnny. You'd be a terrible priest. You know, I don't know, right? Like maybe ask, does God want you to be a priest? It's like, well, grandma wants me to be a priest. Or how many people go into a certain degree because it's what their parents want them to do. Find a lot of people in education. They get in and they're like, well, I'm going to be, you know, in this. I'll give you an example. My wife went to University of South Dakota for marketing, got into marketing, and 6 months in, she graduated. 6 months into her first job was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You just went to school for 4 years to do this? And 6 months into your first job, you're like bagging it? Somebody failed there, right? Like either the university didn't do what it was supposed to do, or my wife didn't do what she ought to, or maybe it's a combination of both, right? We want to help figure that out before you get to the end of this thing like Roman, and he's like, oh shit, now what do I do, right? You get to the end of it, and you're like, all right, my wife did a marketing commercial for the state of South Dakota Nursing Association to recruit more nurses. And in low budget marketing, they actually use people from the community or from the ad agency, the marketing agency. So every once in a while, like you'll see commercials and it'll be like, oh, I know that guy. Well, he got paid like $32 to, you know, sit in a desk. Yeah. So my wife did this. She was the nurse for the commercial. She came home and she was like, I want to be a nurse. So we put her through an 18-month, $27,000 intensive nursing program to help her become a registered nurse. Now, point being, that type of examination of backpack, we do our whole lives. But in hindsight, the reason she went into marketing was because her older sister was in marketing. And she loved her older sister, and she wanted to be like her older sister, and she followed her older sister. And her mom is a nurse. Her two aunts are nurses. Like, she comes from a family of nurses. Like, it's in her DNA that she should probably be a nurse. She never gave it any attention. Now, I don't know why, but she went, like, I'm not going to be a nurse. Like, I'm not going to do what my mom does. I don't know. But we're weird like that, right? We're interesting creatures. We have lots of motivating factors. And what we want to do is grow more conscious, grow more attentive and aware of what we think, why we think it, and how that results in the outcomes of the decisions that we make. After four months, maybe we'll have found some techniques, some tools to our humanity that we can use to live better, to flourish, to encounter the valleys, the obstacles in a way that doesn't destroy our dignity, but also learn how to handle success with humility so that it doesn't corrupt us. And both of those are challenging. I have found my experience is that it's the mountaintops actually that are most challenging. Because when I'm on the mountaintop, I don't think I need anybody else. I'm like, damn, I'm good. Look at me, everybody. You know. We get to the top of the mountain and we're like, we forget everybody else that helped us get there. But in the valley, we're like, somebody help my ass. I need all, you know, you're like, help, you know, you need it. And so sometimes the valley is where we need to understand that love and dignity and hope is present, and the mountaintops is where things like humility and appreciation and gratitude are needed. So, sound fair? Now the key is that there's work to do. As you can see, I already passed out a bunch of handouts, right? Now, for the sake of a COVID person, or actually this is a military person, I think one student's in the military right now, and so there'll be a couple of classes, so I'm videotaping this. So if I kind of do this, it's just because whatever, at least minimum, whoever's there, he didn't come on to Zoom, so I'm just recording it. But let's just walk through the handouts I gave you real quick so that at minimum, everybody knows that we have the same thing. First is your course syllabus. All right, your course syllabus we'll take a look at, but it doesn't have the curriculum. That's the second one. Your calendar and curriculum are the second handout. Now, these two documents go together, but this is the working document. This is the one that actually, the course calendar curriculum is the one that you're going to have at the front of your binder, the front of your work as we go through the semester. So this is really the most important, although the course syllabus is like the contract. It's the thing that, we give you, and it gives all the details. It tells you all whenever something happens, like in 2 months, you're like, you blow up at me and you're like, you're the worst professor ever. And then I just go like, oh, I know that, but let's go look at the syllabus. And then the syllabus guides me and you in our disagreement about how we should settle the matter. So they're called kind of like a contract. But long story short, you probably won't look at it again until you're like, oh, I need the Zoom ID number. So, all right, third is the reader. All right, now this is the first, I gave you the first two readings from the textbook. So the course reader, this is the first article that you will need to read for Thursday, and the second article. Now, the course reader, I just don't want to forget, the most important document you're going to read for Thursday is this one, the liberal art article. We will address the reader, but don't spend a half hour, 45 minutes doing the reader and then not read this. Read this thing first, then we'll come back and we'll address how to read a book. So maybe if you want, put liberal art first. And then the Benedictine Leadership 101, Great Questions, Who Am I? Handout would be your papers that you have for this class. Now, you need 100% a binder for this class. I don't care if it's thin, small, big, whatever, it's going to grow. If you need one, I've got them. Like, just say, hey, I don't have a binder and I really don't want whatever. But if you need me, I got binders. But you need a binder for this course. As you can see, for the most part, they're 3-hole punched. I will hand out documents. Your notes, when you take notes, I'm cool with you doing your notes like that. But oftentimes what happens is as you go, you want to kind of organize your notes with handouts and different units. But otherwise, your hand notes, which you will all be taking on one side, your binder on another. Whether they can bind or not, I don't care. But I need to be able to see a binder with your organized materials so that I don't every day come into class and have to open up your backpack and be like, what the hell is this? Right? I get to open your backpack, pull out your 3-ring binder, and have you flip it open and find what you're looking for. Does that make sense? Organization is very important here. It's my weakness, so I understand like just the binder's the easiest, #1 way to keep this class together. All right, next, the books. Now, there is more people who received my email on the books, right? Like half of you. That's because the other half weren't in my email list. All right, I need to make a note on this. Send email to BLI 101 students a second time. All right. I will send you the email that has the 4 texts you need for this class. These 3 you can either get in the portal online or just get them on Amazon. If I have free shipping and you're like, all right, yeah, just, whatever. I don't care how you get them. If you need help, I can ship them for free. But you need to order them like today. Now, will you use these today? No, you won't. But I will not, in 3 weeks when I say we need this one, be dealing with I don't have it. So everybody today, tomorrow, put your order in for these 3 texts. Human will be first, followed by The Trial and Death of Socrates, followed by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. These are magnificent. Yes, you need them. Now, I understand I might be old school, and you guys live in a whole new world where you don't have paper, and you don't have textbooks, and everything's online and all that stuff. It's not where I'm at. And so you get to join me in the dark ages where we actually have books, use books, read books that you can see, touch, taste. Well, they don't lick the thing, but. So these 3 texts, order them up. That would be great. Now, I'm also oftentimes straightforward, as you can already tell, right? So somebody I'm not trying to offend you. Somebody is like, I can't afford them. I understand money's tight, and I understand 100% that money matters. You're paying like $20,000 to be here. Get your ass the books, right? Now, if it's because you don't have liquid cash, come talk to me. I'm not opposed to helping people, but just realize that when you send me an email saying, I don't know if I can afford that, you're paying a shitload of money to be here. Buy the frickin' $7 book. Cool? All right. Now, the reader. The reader is interesting. This is a popular concept used all over the United States where we take selections and put them together into our own book. So we have somebody in Minnesota publish this for us from Reader's Choice. And your handout with Reader's Choice on it, Professor's Choice, right? This is the company that publishes it. I will send you a direct link to buy this book. You need to do it ASAP. It's like $31. This is like, these things are like $6-7 a piece. So like for like $60 you're equipped. You're good. All right? And like I said, you got financial problems, tell me, talk to me, we'll figure it out. But in the big picture, don't wait, order them now, especially this one. For some reason, well, not for some reason, just for life reasons, this has been a pain in our neck as professors to get it ordered and get it delivered. They are working with us specifically to try and expedite the delivery of these. If we all send in our orders today and tomorrow, boom. That will help them expedite them all and be done with it. In your email, I give you the link to go do it. You can pay by credit card, debit card. And if there is a problem, there's a name and a phone number that they told us you can call to problem solve. Cool? Any questions on that? I mean, it's pretty simple, but some of this is out of our control. And the fact that I sent an email and it had half of you in it really puts us at it is what it is. Right? Can't do anything about it. So, I'll send that email. Questions so far? Let's take a look at your syllabus. It's like glorious out. Let's go with the windows closed. try and open that. See what happens. Can't believe it's the end of January. All right, so course syllabus, you can open those two too. See, if they open, great. If they don't, whatever. Mount Marty University mission. Now read this thing. Read this thing. This is why the building's open. This is why you're paying to be here. Mount Marty University, an academic community, right? Circle, highlight, underline, academic. The reason the university is open is for academics. Now, real quick, raise of hands. How many of you are here because of athletics? All right, so that's our backpack, right? Boom, look in it, yep. All right, but the building's here for academics. In the Catholic Benedictine liberal arts tradition, anybody Catholic? Anybody Benedictine? Anybody not know what the hell it means to be Benedictine? We're going to find out, right? Like, this is great. So the Jesuits are famous. Like, there's all kinds of Jesuit colleges, Gonzaga, St. Louis, Georgetown. The Benedictines are another type of Catholic religious order, and Mount Marty is a Benedictine one. Liberal arts, we'll get into that. All right, so we're going to prepare students for a contemporary world of work. So one of the outputs is jobs, right? Service to human community, that you're here to contribute to something greater than yourself, and personal growth. Department of Program Mission. So the BLI lives within the Theology and Philosophy Department, and ultimately you can read through all of that, but reflective dialogue in that third sentence, underline, highlight, circle, reflective dialogue. That is going to be how this class works. You are not going to have A, B, C matching. You're going to have essay, conversation, reflection. BLI, vision, mission, and values. The course title and number, spring semester, credit hours 3, course description, you can read through it. Second paragraph underneath course description. This class has an experiential leadership opportunity outside the classroom for traditional freshmen. If transfers desire, Josh, oh, you won't use your in baseball, right? Transfers desire to opt in, this year's leadership experience will be to the Black Hills of South Dakota on Thursday, April 7th to Sunday, April 10th. We will talk more about this probably on Thursday, but there is a freshman leadership experience and a sophomore leadership experience. The sophomores we split so that spring athletics goes in the fall athletics goes in the spring, and the winter picks what works best. But the freshmen are still on a singular semester experience. So together, all of us, in collaboration with your coaches, who will be on board, and some of them might even be with us, we'll head to the Black Hills for a 4-day leadership experience. We'll do the Badlands, Crazy Horse, Mount Rushmore, Spearfish Canyon, and maybe even take you out to the Devil's Tower across the border in Wyoming. So it'll be kind of a who am I personal reflection, and we'll frame it a little bit on Chief Seattle. I don't know what tribe Chief Seattle was a part of, but he was up in the Northwest, and Martin Luther King, who both have I Dream speeches. So Martin Luther King's obviously is famous. Most people don't know about Chief Seattle, but both of them have this idea of dreams, which we will have in our curriculum through one of our readings from Azar Nafisi, an Iranian-born dissident that lives in Seattle, of all places, who talks about the imagination. And so we'll think about who it is that we desire to be, and we'll go on kind of a personal leadership experience with your class, the whole freshman class, on April 7th to the 10th. My information is below there. You see email office. I'm right below here in 237 in the Benedictine Institute office. And office hours there on Mondays, you can find me at 9 and at 2. Every professor has office hours based upon the number of credits they teach. And so most have 2 to 5 office hours. And those are the hours where you can just swing in and know that my professor's going to be there. But text. All right, so everybody get your phones out and put my contact in your phone. Add a contact, Professor Rutten, PROF Rutten, or however you want to do it. Suppose if you want to call me Joe, you can, but I'm not real I think we get too informal sometimes, but Sister Terry likes to call people by I don't know. I'm Professor Rutten. Call me Joe, whatever. Put your phone number in there, and then you're going to text me. And when you text me, all you're texting me is your name. First and last name. And then I will go through inventory and add you to my contact list. And you can text or call me between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. After that, use email. Now, you can use email as well, but just a heads up, I know how this works. Text's easiest. So just shoot me a text here. They all come with just your name, first and last name. And then I have it. I'll inventory it, get it put into my contacts as well. That's a great way to communicate with me. All right. Zoom ID at the bottom of the page. If you highlight that, that's important. If you get COVID, you get quarantined, that's the ID number that you use to zoom into class. So we'll see what all happens here. Nobody really knows what's coming down the pipe, but at this point, if you end up in quarantine, that's... Now, I will say this. I don't know what the whole parameter is, but I'm not interested in doing Zoom for all your other reasons. We never, ever, ever did Zoom before COVID, and now what I've encountered is lots of students being like, hey, I'm going to be gone. Can I get on Zoom? Like, well, okay, whatever. But point being, especially a humanities class, a class like this, participation and presence is of utmost importance. And so just a heads up, if you have COVID or something, I understand, or you're sick, like, oh yeah, I'm sick, I don't know if I have COVID, but I can't go to class. Well, that's kind of how it works. Roman, doesn't it just make you want to grab a shotgun?
Yes.
Oh, you're a hunter too?
Yes.
These are city geese though. Those don't sound like river geese. All right. Flip over, required text. Oh, there we go. All right, so here's your required text. You don't need me to email you. First one, there's the professorschoice.com. Benedict in Leadership 1. Actually, it might say 101. Course Reader, 2021 edition. Everybody get on there today, tomorrow, order the text. Fundamental, order the text. Next one we will use is Being Human. You can get that on Amazon or through the bookstore here. And Trial and Death of Socrates and Man's Search for Meaning. Student learning outcomes. Schedule. So the overview and schedule is the second document that's attached. And then the grading scale. Aren't you guys all like, oh, this class is going to be easy. Yay, 90, 80, 70, 60. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't even care about grades. Like, number one, they're all inflated. Because everybody's like, and then, professors don't want to put up the fight, or they don't want to be mean, and so then everybody, like, if I got a 92, then you get, oh, it's so close to a 93, what can I do to get an A? Oh, you got a 92, that's a B. But it can't, okay, I'll give you a 93, all right, you get an A. Well, then everybody gets A's. So point being, grades, the reason that you're in this class is not for an A, B, C, although I'm going to assess you and we're going to do, the reason you're here is to grow, to learn, to develop the techniques and tools of being human. So our scale for the freshmen here for 101 is 90, 80, 70, 60. Brightspace will keep track of your grades. At this point, I don't use Brightspace for submissions, but that could change. But otherwise, I'm a hand-in person. I like to touch it, so you'll be handing in most assignments. Late work, I'll take late work. Get it done. I don't like get it done. It'll be docked for being late, but get the work done. This is not high school anymore. I'm not here to babysit. Like, if it's not done, it's not done. Get it done. When it's done, turn it in. The goal is to train you, and we don't train well by just saying, oh, you had to do something, but it's late, so then you just don't do it. Like, no, get it done. You know, if you're putting up a fence to keep the cows in, like, you know, if a cow got out, it's not like, oh, well, the cow already got out, I won't fix the fence. No, fix the damn fence and then put the cow back in. And anybody been watching Yellowstone? It's good. Anybody watch Wire? Anybody know what Wire is? Is it The Wire? Nobody knows what The Wire is? Wow, man, The Wire, it's like Baltimore. Set in Baltimore, and it's, oh, dude. I am completely out of touch with your lives, which is probably a good thing. Technology assistance. There's one thing on here I want you to go to. Center for Academic Excellence. On page 3, go down. Right in the middle, there's Center for Academic Excellence. You guys, you're paying to be here. You have all kinds of free services that nobody uses. It's the craziest thing in the world. You can have all the help you could ask for. There are tutors that just sit around twiddling their thumbs, playing on their phones, waiting to help you. I would definitely encourage you. I was a B student because I was decently smart, but I didn't do any work. And then I went to college and I flunked out my freshman year at Northern State up in Aberdeen. And I was like, uh-oh. And I rebooted, took a year off, moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, and I started at St. Thomas. And I got 3.5 my first semester. I was like, damn, I'm smart. I'm one of the smart kids, kind of. I mean, 3.5's not. For me, that's smart. But what I realized was that if you actually do the work and then go get help, it's amazing. Does anybody know who Daniel Flahy is? Coach Flahy, Dr. Flahy. It's like doing the work in the weight room and then having Flahy come help you. Like, you can do the work on your own, and it works, and it grows, and it matures, and it develops you. And then Flahy comes and like stretches you and gives you some new ideas and concepts and train, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, you have some growth. And so that's what academic excellence, that whole office there has tutors that are willing to help you. Read, write, synthesize, all this stuff. I really want to encourage you to use them. Here's the key with it. If you don't do your work until the night before it's due, you can't use them, can you? That's the great challenge, is getting work done prior in a manner that permits you to use the Academic Services Office. Sometimes I'll even put on your papers, I'll put go see Academic Services. It's not because you can't, it's because I want, like, go use it. Like, it's like counseling. Some people are like, oh, you know, I don't want nobody to know I go to a counselor. Like, every adult goes to a counselor, by the way. I don't want you to see it as, oh, something's wrong with you and you need help. It's like, no, you need help because we're humans and we're growing and we need coaches academically just like we do athletically and artistically. All right, if you have any questions, let me know on that. We're winding down here. If you open your curriculum and calendar, you'll see the units are listed and the point totals that add up. 200 points total for the course with 4 units and a final exam. If you flip over to page 2, you will see today, Class 1, January 18th. The syllabus, the reader, Edwards, how to read a book, and then I gave you Peeper for next week, or for Thursday. So typically how this works is, today's the first day, but on the second day, when it says Peeper, that means you need to have read that for that day, and we discuss it that day. Does that make sense? So when you see Peeper, that's like, oh, that's what we're doing today. So in-class reading and or assessment would be on Thursday. We'll talk about how to read a book, and we'll talk about Pieper's liberal arts. This will be the most important one. When you read it, mark it up, highlight it, make notes in it, ask questions. Like, it's a working document. There should be words in there that you don't know. You should have a ton of questions when you're done reading this. And then on Thursday, we answer questions. Then you have the I am and who am I handouts. And this, I want you to, for Thursday, you're going to turn in a copy of it. And on the front, you're going to redo this all. Right? You're going to make your own. You can just Google search the Mount Marty seal, put the seal on it, put your name, I am, and your name, Benedict, all right? And then on the front cover, I want your mug shot, right? Passport size photo, something like that, so that I then have an inventory of all of you. I have all your names and your photos, and then I can flip over and see who you are. Now, this might be more than a page. If this is more than a page, that's fine. But if you can keep this to a page, that's great. I don't need a long, in-depth writing. I actually prefer like bullets or just quick little things like traditional freshman or transfer. I'm a transfer sophomore. Degree path. I'm interested in business or theology or I don't know. I haven't selected a major, but I'm interested in this. I'm passionate about other things in life that interest me. So don't go write a story, but like I'm interested in Notre Dame football, catching walleyes, and talking politics. I don't know. Like, what are your things? It's just gifts you possess, weaknesses you have. There's just a little. This is a beginning of your own inventory, opening up your backpack and looking in it. But it also becomes a resource for me to to assess you as a cohort. Now, there's religious questions in there. My goal is not to say, oh, you're Catholic, you're Christian, you're Muslim, but it helps you inventory where you're at personally from a philosophical standpoint about the religious questions. We're going to ask lots of questions that have religious connotations on the back end. They're going to lead to religious questions, but the meaning of life and purpose and where I came from and why the hell am I broken and whose fault is it that I'm broken? These types of questions oftentimes have answers in religious traditions that we have had stuffed oftentimes in our backpack. Sometimes we're glad they were put in there and we willingly assisted mom, dad, grandma with putting them in there. Sometimes they weren't. Well, great, inventory that. Here's a tradition I was raised with. I was raised with no tradition, so on and so forth. And never say in here, I don't know that. I wasn't raised with religion. Most people don't know anything, even the religious kids, the students. They're like, So don't think like, oh, I didn't have religion. Somehow that's going to hinder me in this class. This is philosophy, thinking. It's not necessary. And so don't think that your religion is going to matter. But I want you to inventory it, you to put it down. If you have questions on this, feel free to email me. Anything else? Thumbs up. See y'all on Thursday. Peace.